Picture this. It's a Tuesday morning in Amsterdam. Marcus is 29 years old, sitting at his kitchen table staring at his banking app. The number on the screen reads 100,127 euros. He just crossed 6 figures, 10 years of saving, every spare euro, every bonus, every tax refund, living in cheap apartments, cooking at home, saying no to vacations his friends took, driving the same beat-up Volkswagen for 8 years. 10 years to save his first 100,000 euros, and Marcus feels nothing. He thought hitting 100,000 euros would feel different. He thought there'd be some magical shift, some sense of security, some relief. Instead, he's looking at 100,127 euros and thinking, okay, now what? This isn't enough to retire. This isn't even enough to buy an apartment in Amsterdam. I need like 500,000 euros at minimum. At this rate, that's another 40 years. Marcus closes the app, goes to work, feels like he's accomplished something massive and nothing at all at the same time. What Marcus doesn't know, what nobody told him, is that he just crossed the most important financial threshold of his entire life. And everything is about to change. My name is Evan, and I've been obsessed with understanding why the first 100,000 euros is absolutely brutal to save, and why everything after that becomes dramatically easier. Not a little easier, exponentially easier. If you're grinding toward your first 50,000 euros or 100,000 euros, and it feels impossibly slow, if you're wondering if compound interest is even real or just something rich people say to make you feel better, if you've saved 30,000 euros or 40,000 euros and you're exhausted and thinking about giving up, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to show you is why Marcus's next 100,000 euros will take half the time his first 100,000 euros took, and why the 100,000 euros after that will take half the time again. This is the compound interest acceleration that nobody believes until they experience it, and Marcus is about to experience it whether he realizes it or not. Here's what makes this so brutal. Marcus started saving at 19, fresh out of school, got a job in IT support making 28,000 euros per year. He read somewhere that he should save 20% of his income, so he did. 5,600 euros per year, 467 euros per month. At 19, saving 467 euros per month felt impossible. That was his social life. That was going out with friends. That was the holiday to Spain everyone else was taking. But Marcus did it anyway. He lived with 2 roommates in a tiny apartment in Amsterdam Nord. He rode his bike everywhere. He made coffee at home. He was that guy who said, "I can't afford it," when everyone wanted to get drinks. His friends thought he was weird. His girlfriend at the time broke up with him because he wasn't fun anymore. After 1 year of saving 467 euros per month, Marcus had 5,600 euros. He looked at that number and thought, I gave up an entire year of my life for 5,600 euros. At this rate, it'll take me 18 years to get to 100,000 euros. He almost quit right there. Year 1, 5,600 euros felt like nothing. Marcus is 23 years old, 4 years of sacrifice. He has 26,725 euros. His friends are traveling, buying nice clothes, going to festivals. Marcus is eating rice and beans and checking his investment account obsessively. 26,725 euros after 4 years feels like a joke. He's not even 30% of the way to 100,000 euros. This is where most people quit. Year 4 or 5, they've saved 20,000 euros or 30,000 euros, and they look at it and think, this is pointless, this is taking forever, I'm sacrificing everything and I'm nowhere close. Marcus almost quit, but he didn't. He kept going. Year 5, 34,183 euros. Year 6, 42,389 euros. Year 7, 51,381 euros. Marcus is 26 years old. 7 years in, he just crossed 50,000 euros, halfway to 100,000 euros. It took him 7 years to get halfway there. At this pace, it should take him another 7 years to get to 100,000 euros. He should hit 6 figures at age 33. Except that's not what happened. Year 8, 61,213 euros. Year 9, 72,023 euros. Year 10, 100,127 euros. Marcus hit 100,000 euros at age 29, not 33. 4 years faster than the linear math predicted. From 50,000 euros to 100,000 euros took 3 years, half the time it took to get from 0 to 50,000 euros. Why? Because compound interest finally started working. Let me show you the math that Marcus didn't understand until it was happening to him. When Marcus started, he was saving 5,600 euros per year. That's all growth, just his contributions. The investments weren't big enough to generate meaningful returns yet. Year 1, 5,600 euros saved. Market return at 8%, 224 euros. Total, 5,824 euros. That 224 euros in investment returns is nothing. Marcus contributed 5,600 euros. The market gave him 224 euros. His contributions did 96% of the work. Year 2, he adds another 5,600 euros. Now he's got 11,996 euros. Market return 736 euros, still almost nothing. His contributions 11,200 euros. Market returns 796 euros total. Contributions are doing 93% of the work. This is why the early years feel so slow. You're doing all the work. The compound interest is barely helping. But watch what happens as the account grows. Year 5, Marcus has 34,183 euros. He contributes 6,400 euros that year. Market returns 2,254 euros. Now the market is contributing 26% of his annual growth. He's still doing most of the work, but compound interest is starting to pull weight. Year 7, 51,381 euros. Contribution 6,400 euros. Market returns 3,886 euros. The market just contributed 38% of his growth, almost as much as he put in. Year 10, 100,127 euros. Contribution 6,400 euros. Market returns 7,610 euros. The market contributed more than Marcus did. For the first time in 10 years, his money worked harder than he did. This is the inflection point. This is what nobody tells you about 100,000 euros. It's not that 100,000 euros is enough money to retire or buy financial freedom. It's not. Marcus might quit his job with 100,000 euros, but 100,000 euros is the point where compound interest stops being theoretical and becomes a force you can actually feel. At 100,000 euros earning 8% annually, the market gives you 8,000 euros per year in returns. That's more than Marcus was contributing in his first 2 years combined. His money is now generating more growth per year than he was able to save per year when he started. And here's where it gets absolutely insane. Marcus doesn't realize it yet, but his next 100,000 euros is going to take half the time. Let me show you the math. From 0 euros to 100,000 euros took Marcus 10 years at 6,400 euros per year saved. Now he has 100,000 euros, same savings rate, 6,400 euros per year. Year 11, 100,000 euros plus 6,400 euros saved plus 8,000 euros. Market return equals 114,400 euros. Year 12, 114,400 euros plus 6,400 euros saved plus 9,152 euros market return equals 129,952 euros. Year 13, 129,952 euros plus 6,400 euros saved plus 10,396 euros market return equals 146,748 euros. Year 14, 146,748 euros plus 6,400 euros saved plus 11,740 euros market return equals 164,888 euros. Year 15, 164,888 euros plus 6,400 euros saved plus 13,191 euros market return equals 184,479 euros. Marcus hits 200,000 euros at age 34. 5 years after hitting 100,000 euros, his first 100,000 euros took 10 years. His second 100,000 euros took 5 years, not because he saved more, not because he got lucky, because compound interest was doing more of the work. And it keeps accelerating. By the time Marcus hits 200,000 euros, the market is giving him 16,000 euros per year in returns, more than double what he's contributing. His third 100,000 euros, from 200,000 euros to 300,000 euros, will take about 3.5 years. 300,000 euros to 400,000 euros, about 3 years. 400,000 euros to 500,000 euros, about 2.5 years. Marcus will hit 500,000 euros at age 44. 15 years after hitting his first 100,000 euros. If he'd quit at 50,000 euros thinking it was hopeless, he'd have missed the entire exponential curve. This is what Charlie Munger meant when he said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you got to do it." He wasn't saying 100,000 euros is enough money. He was saying 100,000 euros is the threshold where the math flips, where your money starts doing more work than you do. There's a reason every wealthy person will tell you the same thing. The first 100,000 euros is the hardest. It's not motivational nonsense. It's mathematical reality. Let me show you what's happening at different account balances to make this crystal clear. At 10,000 euros saved, earning 8% annually, the market gives you 800 euros per year. That's 67 euros per month. Barely noticeable. At 25,000 euros, the market gives you 2,000 euros per year. 167 euros per month. Still feels small. At 50,000 euros, the market gives you 4,000 euros per year. 333 euros per month. Starting to feel real. At 75,000 euros, the market gives you 6,000 euros per year. 500 euros per month. Now it's meaningful. At 100,000 euros, the market gives you 8,000 euros per year. 667 euros per month. More than most people can save. At 200,000 euros, the market gives you 16,000 euros per year. 1,333 euros per month. That's a second income. At 500,000 euros, the market gives you 40,000 euros per year. 3,333 euros per month. That's most people's salary. The compound interest curve isn't linear, it's exponential. And 100,000 euros is where the exponential curve starts to bend upward visibly. This is why people who hit 100,000 euros and keep going almost always end up wealthy. Because the hard part is over. The math is now on their side. But here's what almost nobody talks about. The psychological shift that happens at 100,000 euros is just as important as the mathematical shift. When Marcus had 10,000 euros saved, the account felt fragile. One emergency could wipe it out. One bad month could set him back significantly. He was terrified to look at the account during market crashes. In 2020, when COVID hit and the market dropped 30%, Marcus's €45,000 became €31,500 overnight. He lost €13,500 in 1 month. He panicked. He almost sold everything. €13,500 felt like years of work evaporating, but he held. The market recovered. By 2021, he was back to €45,000 and climbing. When Marcus hit €100,000 and the next market correction came, his account dropped to €70,000. He lost €30,000, more than double what he lost in 2020. But this time, he didn't panic. Why? Because at €100,000, the account finally felt real. It felt substantial. It felt like it had momentum. Losing €30,000 from €100,000 and still having €70,000 felt different than losing €13,500 from €45,000 and having €31,500. €70,000 is still a massive pile of money. It's still more than most people ever save. Marcus knew it would recover, and it did. This is the psychological shift. €100,000 is the point where your investment account stops feeling like a fragile side project and starts feeling like a real asset. It changes how you behave during volatility. It changes your risk tolerance. It changes your entire relationship with money. You stop seeing market dips as disasters and start seeing them as buying opportunities because you have enough capital that a 20% gain after a crash actually means something. When you have €5,000 and the market crashes 30%, then recovers 40%, you make €700. Nice, but not life-changing. When you have €100,000 and the same thing happens, you make €14,000. That's meaningful. €100,000 is the threshold where volatility starts working for you instead of against you. Here's what Marcus didn't expect: the lifestyle shift that happened after €100,000. When Marcus was grinding from €0 to €100,000, he was obsessed with the account. He checked it daily, he tracked every euro, he optimized everything. After he hit €100,000, something changed. He stopped checking the account every day. Not because he cared less, because he trusted the process more. He knew the account was growing whether he looked at it or not. The compound interest was working 24/7. He didn't need to babysit it. This freed up mental energy he'd been spending obsessing over his net worth. He started focusing on other things: his career, his relationships, his health, things he'd sacrificed during the grind. And ironically, not obsessing over the account made it grow faster, because he wasn't tempted to tinker with it. He wasn't panic selling during dips. He just let it compound. This is the paradox of €100,000. It's the point where you can stop thinking about it constantly and it grows faster as a result. But here's the trap that catches people at €100,000, the lifestyle inflation trap. Marcus hit €100,000 at 29. He'd been living like a broke student for 10 years. Roommates, cheap apartment, old car, no vacations. The moment he crossed 6 figures, his brain said, "You did it. You deserve to upgrade your life now." And he almost did. He almost moved into a nicer apartment, €1,400 per month instead of €800. He almost bought a newer car. He almost started going on the holidays his friends were taking. If he had done that, his savings rate would have dropped from €6,400 per year to maybe €2,000 per year. And his second €100,000 wouldn't have taken 5 years. It would have taken 15 years. This is the most dangerous moment in the wealth-building journey. The moment you hit €100,000 and think you've made it and can relax. You haven't made it. €100,000 is not the finish line. It's the starting line 100,000 euros is where compound interest finally starts helping you. If you stop feeding it at 100,000 euros, you kill the exponential curve. Marcus didn't upgrade his lifestyle. He kept living on 28,000 euros per year, even though he was making 45,000 euros. He kept saving the difference. That decision is worth millions over his lifetime. Let me show you two versions of Marcus to make this clear. Marcus A hits 100,000 euros at 29, keeps saving 6,400 euros per year, never inflates lifestyle. Age 34, 200,000 euros. Age 38, 300,000 euros. Age 41, 400,000 euros. Age 44, 500,000 euros. Age 50, 750,000 euros. Age 55, 1 million euros. Marcus A is a millionaire at 55 and can retire early. Marcus B hits 100,000 euros at 29, upgrades lifestyle, now only saves 2,000 euros per year. Age 39, 200,000 euros. Age 48, 300,000 euros. Age 55, 400,000 euros. Age 62, 500,000 euros. Age 70, 650,000 euros. Marcus B never hits 1 million euros. He retires at 67 with 600,000 euros and has to be very careful with money his entire retirement. Same starting point, different choice at 100,000 euros, 15 years difference in retirement timeline. 100,000 euros is not the end, it's the inflection point. What you do after 100,000 euros determines everything. Now let me tell you what actually happened with Marcus, because his story didn't end at 100,000 euros. Marcus kept his lifestyle exactly the same, kept saving 6,400 euros per year. Got a few raises over the years, saved those too. At 34, he hit 200,000 euros. At that point, the market was contributing 16,000 euros per year, more than his entire annual salary when he started at 19. At 38, he crossed 300,000 euros. The account was growing by 24,000 euros per year from market returns alone. Marcus is 38 now. He has 320,000 euros saved. He still lives in a modest apartment, still drives the same old car, still cooks at home most nights. His friends think he's crazy. They're driving nice cars, living in expensive apartments, taking fancy vacations. They make the same income he does. They have 15,000 euros saved. Marcus has 320,000 euros. His net worth is growing by 2,000 euros per month from compound interest. He's not rich yet, but he's on a trajectory to be a millionaire by 50 and retire at 55. His friends are on a trajectory to work until 67 and hope their government pension is enough. Same income, different choices at 100,000 euros. Here's what I want you to take from Marcus's story. If you're at 10,000 euros or 20,000 euros or 30,000 euros saved right now, and it feels slow and you're wondering if this is even worth it, I need you to understand something. You're in the hardest part right now. The part where you're doing all the work and compound interest is barely helping. This is where most people quit, right before the curve bends upward. If you quit at 30,000 euros, you'll never see the exponential phase. You'll never experience what it feels like to have your money outwork you. But if you push through to 100,000 euros, everything changes. Not because 100,000 euros is enough to retire, it's not. But because 100,000 euros is enough for compound interest to become a force you can feel. At 100,000 euros, you're not just saving money anymore. You're building a machine that generates wealth, whether you're working or sleeping. The first 100,000 euros is brutal, it's slow, it's discouraging. It feels like you're sacrificing everything for numbers on a screen. But you're not just building a balance. You're building momentum, and momentum is everything. Marcus's first 100,000 euros took 10 years. His second will take 5 years. His third will take 3 years. The same thing will happen to you if you get to 100,000 euros and keep going. But you have to get to 100,000 euros first. And that means not quitting at 25,000 euros or 40,000 euros or 75,000 euros when it feels hopeless. Every euro you save before 100,000 euros is building the foundation for exponential growth after 100,000 euros. The people who get wealthy aren't smarter than you. They're not luckier than you. They just didn't quit before the curve bent upward. If this video makes you want to push through to 100,000 euros instead of quitting, hit that like button and subscribe. I break down the math and psychology of wealth building for people who are tired of feeling like they're getting nowhere. New videos every week showing you exactly how the systems work and how to use them to build actual wealth, not just income. I'll see you in the next one.